Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Repeat Ron, and today I just kind of stumbled across this when looking at some of the Deep Rock overclocks, kind of debating on what video I wanted to do next on one of them. And they have this section which is removed/unused overclocks in the game. So these were overclocks at one point, or at least overclock concepts at some point, that could have went to different weapons but never did. Some of these actually make a little bit of sense as to why some of the weapons don't have all the overclocks then, if these were planned and then just got scrapped for whatever reason. The very first one that we're going to be talking about is a clean one, and it's called Damage Spike, and this was for the Zhukovs. So this is Scout submachine guns. And what this effect did was turn the gun into a 5-round burst mode, which sounds very bad in my opinion. The Zhukovs are already a fully automatic gun. Turning them to a burst fire mode seems really bizarre unless this was supposed to get some other effect, like maybe a lot more accuracy or something along those lines, something that would make burst firing the gun more appealing. It's also unclear as to whether this is 5-round burst from both submachine guns, in which case you're firing 10 rounds, or if this is just 5 rounds between the two submachine guns. If it's 10 rounds, then this one is even worse, because if you had a 10-round burst submachine gun, you're probably overkilling a lot of stuff. You're definitely overkilling any of the small things like swarmers or jellyfish, or even things like web spitters at that point, just with body shots. And I think then you are killing, or just about killing, grunts with just body shots if you hit all of them. If it's a 5-round burst, then maybe you could hit all 5 to the head and kill them. I'm not entirely sure. It would be an interesting way to build the Zhukov. But just a 5-round burst mode I don't think would be that great for that. But this might explain why the Zhukovs only have 5 overclocks in total, and 3 of them are unstables, with only 1 being a clean and 1 being a balanced. That's kind of a weird spread of overclocks, especially for being tied with the lowest amount of overclocks in the game. Our second clean overclock here is called Ricochet, and this one is for Engineer's Warthog Auto Shotgun. This one just has a mystery % chance of shots ricocheting. I don't know how many times this can trigger, if it can trigger multiple times or if it's just a one-time thing. And I imagine maybe the ricochet might actually bounce to other nearby targets, similar to magic bullets or bullet hell. If not, and they just bounce into just anything, like how the impact deflection works for the Drac, that might be the way that they were going for this particular overclock. Either way, I think that this would be a really fun one to use with the Warthog. I don't see this as being a downside, especially if it can ricochet off of enemies that you've already hit. Now, you can't get blow-through rounds with the Warthog, otherwise this one sounds like it could be really good to potentially hit through one enemy, hit another enemy, and then bounce into another enemy, or bounce into the same enemy a second time. That could be really useful. This one also might explain why the Warthog only has 5 overclocks in total, although the Warthogs are more spread out than the Zhukovs, where you have 2 clean, 1 balanced, and 2 unstable. Adding another clean one would be nice, and it would raise it up to 6. I think this would be really cool. I imagine it got scrapped because it might be hard to implement, but this one sounds like a really fun one to me. Moving down our list, we've got some balanced overclocks. The first one is called Charged Explosions. This one's for Gunner's Burst Pistol. This one gives you remote chargeable explosives. I don't know what that means. At the cost of 72 maximum ammo. So I imagine this is kind of like explosive chemical rounds for the Loki, where every 3rd shot it blows up, although this sounds like maybe you charge up your shots and then fire them and then they explode in an area or something. If so, that would be interesting. It would give the burst pistol more AoE, which it really doesn't have. It's mostly for single target damage. I think that could be interesting. It might also work similar to embedded detonators in some way, where this charge goes off after a certain amount of time. If so, that would also be good, because embedded detonators is a great overclock. But the way that it's worded, I don't entirely know how this works. Losing out on max ammo might not be that big of a deal if you're getting a lot more damage out of it, like a lot of the explosive weapons. Embedded detonators being one where you lose out on a ton of extra ammo and you lose out on a ton of just base damage, but it doesn't really matter because all of your damage comes from your explosions and then you just build all ammo for it. You could do the same thing with a burst pistol if it works this way. Next one's called Combo Damage. This is for Gunner Sabata Pistol. This one's a balanced overclock. This one gives you 1 more damage per shot on consecutive shots. So I'm assuming this counts for every shot, whether you hit or miss, but this comes at the cost of reload speed and overall damage. Now, losing out on the 3 damage, that one, I don't know if it'll make it worth it or not, because that would mean the first 3 shots from the gun are going to be weaker, or at least the 3rd shot is going to equal to the same amount of shots. Well, I guess it would be consecutive shots, so it would be the 4th round, I'm thinking. Probably the 4th round would equal to that. And then you could keep going up at a +1 So after 4 rounds, you're left with 8 rounds, so you could have plus 8 damage. The Sabata has 12 by default, so you would get up to 20 damage, assuming you're not building any extra damage on there. That's okay. 20 damage is kind of nice, but that is a build up to 20 damage, so that's not 20 damage per shot. If you do build extra ammo, you can have another 5 rounds in it, so you can go up to 25 damage. That's better. You're still only building up to 25 damage though, so it would probably be really nice against flying enemies or against leeches far away. I don't think I would like to see the damage loss on it though, because if you're somebody like me, or if you're just somebody who really loves running Born Ready might actually stack up with this, or it might reset. If it resets, then that's pretty bad. If it keeps stacking, that could actually be pretty fun to do some sort of build where you're still able to like one-shot body shot grunts and stuff like that with the Sabata, if you just build it up constantly like that. And then just go with like the largest magazine that you can, so you hold like 17 rounds and just shoot 16 at a time. It might work like that. It might work similar to how embedded detonators can work. If so, I think that would make this a really fun overclock the way that it's worded. Next up is improved thermal efficiency. This one is for the EPC for Driller, and this one makes it so you get 40% reduction in normal shot heat. That's pretty good, but you lose out on 5 damage. So I guess this one is more for spam firing, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't think that this one would be all that great, really. Having less heat build up is kind of nice, but lowering your overall damage doesn't really help with that, especially when you already have a balanced overclock like heavy hitter where you can throw it on and then you get more damage and you build up more heat, but you're still doing more damage quickly and it's more centered around single target damage. This seems like it's more for just spam firing into crowds or spam firing maybe at a single target, and just that you can do it longer but do less damage, so you're gonna run through ammo quicker. I don't know. This one seems odd, and I don't think that it would get used. Although this is the only one that we can actually see credit costs for them. So I'm assuming that this one was one that was removed over time. I don't recall it, so it was before I started playing if it was in the game. I don't think anybody would really use this one, though, because, let's see, what we have the clean one, which is magnetic cooling. And that one is the least picked out of the EPC's overclocks. And that one gets outshined by quite a few other ones like heat pipe and persistent plasma and the energy rerouting. This one I think would be the same thing, but it would probably get outshined by heavy hitter and by overcharger, as well as energy rerouting. So it probably just wouldn't be worth it overall in, I don't think, any of the builds. Maybe if you were only doing this as a fire build and you're just trying to build up the fire on the sludge pump, then it might have some use. But I still feel like something like persistent plasma would be better with that, because you could then build it up and then do AoE damage with it, or even heavy hitter where you could do the same thing and then still have a pretty powerful gun for taking out single targets. So I don't know. I don't think it would really have a place as of right now. All right, then we've got the unstable overclocks. The first one is called Last Not Least. This is for the Bulldog Heavy Revolver for Gunner, and this makes it so you get double damage on the last bullet from the revolver. The downsides are that you have a longer reload time and you have a slower rate of fire. The reload time I don't think would matter. I don't think it's high enough to really matter. The rate of fire I also don't think will matter all that much. You can already shoot the revolver actually pretty fast, and reducing its rate of fire isn't going to hurt it that much. Double damage on the last bullet is really nice, but there is some problems with this, mostly compared to other overclocks. The revolver already has 3 damage overclocks. Yeah, the revolver has 3 damage overclocks. It's got volatile bullets, which gives you triple damage if an enemy's on fire. Really strong. You have elephant rounds, which doubles your damage on every shot, but halves your total amount of ammo, which seems pretty much the same as this, but this one has added steps to it. It would be difficult to manage having the last shot to one-shot certain enemies. Although the revolver does already one-shot normal enemies without any overclocks, without any mods on it, so I don't think that would be a big deal. And you also got homebrew powder, which can potentially double your damage, but you can low roll it and only get 70% of your damage. So that one would be the least consistent. This one would be consistent, but I don't think it would beat out elephant rounds directly, because elephant rounds is double damage on every bullet that you shoot, and at that point you're probably just using it as a sniper rifle. With this one, you do get extra bullets and you could still use it as a sniper rifle, but it would be a lot more managing. because you would use the revolver normally and then have that powerful shot that I'm assuming you would save up. You wouldn't want to be running Born Ready with this. So if you did take this, you'd probably want to run something like the minigun, because the Hurricane and the autocannon really benefit from that particular perk. So I don't think that this one would see a lot of use. Potentially in some minigun builds, maybe. Maybe if you're using like bullet hell with it, it might see some use or something like that. Next up, we have micro rounds. This is for the Deep Core GK2 Scout's Assault Rifle. This one gives you 200 more maximum ammo and a plus 40 in magazine size, which is a lot, but it halves your overall damage. So this one seems like it's like micro flechettes for the burst pistol. Having your damage, the assault rifle has 15 damage base, so you'd be going down to 7.5, which would round up to 8, I think. I'm pretty sure all the damages you get round up. Then you have, you have 1 damage buff that gives you 1, so you go up to 9. You have 1 damage buff that gives you 2, so you go up to 11. So you could have 11 damage. At that point, I'm wondering if it's even worth going with damage. Or if it would just be okay to just 2-shot like swarmers and stuff. Sorry, I bumped the mic. So this one, I kind of like the sound of it. It sounds like it would be kind of cool, but I feel like this one would need to get buffed in some way. Either give it a lot more ammo or make it so the damage reduction is not so dramatic. Because the GK2 is kind of fine where it is. It would be nice if it got a little bit more ammo to kind of do the general purpose job that it's more set to do, and of course the larger magazine would be amazing with the GK2, but the half damage thing, I think it would just be too much. And then our last of the missing / forgotten overclocks or unused overclocks is called Smart Sleeper Rounds. This is for the burst pistol as well. This one gives you smart rounds that find new targets on a reload. However, you lose out on 3 damage, you lose out on 72 ammo, and there is a longer delay between bursts. That sounds interesting. I'm wondering how much longer the delay between bursts is, if it's really noticeable, if it's just pop, 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 something like that, or if it's just maybe slight adjustments or something, nothing major. The ammo could be an issue, but I guess it depends on how well the smart rounds target finding is. Same with the damage. Losing out on 3 damage I don't think would matter that much to the burst pistol. And I'm wondering if this would only trigger on targets that you actually hit, or if this just works on every bullet that hit nearby enemies and then would find new targets. I can see why this one probably wasn't implemented, because I think it would be really difficult to actually get to work, at least visually, to have the bullets either come out of the ground or come out of other enemies and hit into other ones. But if that is how it works, at least the way that I'm thinking it works, that one would be really good. That would actually give the burst pistol also a lot of AoE damage. And the burst pistol doesn't have anything like that. It's mostly just for single target damage. So this one I think would be a lot of fun to see too. I don't know how strong it would be, but I have always wanted more fun things over necessarily just strong things. Tell me your thoughts on these overclocks. If you'd like to see them in the game, or maybe like to see them buffed, or if you have any other overclock ideas for maybe some of the weapons that don't have as many. I think it'd be really cool to have like the ricochet from the shotgun. That sounds pretty awesome. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And special thanks to the supporters of this channel. These are my members over here on YouTube and my patrons over on Patreon. They get early access to videos like this. And if you'd like to be a part of it, you can. There's a link down in the description of this video. Thanks everybody who does that. I really do appreciate it. You guys have a great day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.